We'd like to hear that everything that went wrong last Thursday, and it was a failure on many levels, is all correctable. And so you want relatively easy solutions. Stuff that you know that can be addressed, stuff that you know that can be eliminated, stuff you know that can be corrected. And after hearing Dan Campbell this morning and Jared Goff today, am I foolish? Is it a fool's
Aaron?
gold? Yeah, I don't think it's an Aaron. I think it's fool's gold. Is it fool's gold to say I feel better? Because I do feel better.
Well, I feel fine going into this week. This is one of those weeks. I think this is a game that they should win. So it's let's feel better about ourselves quickly and take care of business. And I do think this is a team that I don't think it's just coach speak or player speak. I really don't think they're looking too far ahead. I think this team is pretty focused, and I'm glad that this team has some players on it that have playoff experience or the experience of playing in a Super Bowl, and the coaching staff has that experience too, that you can't get too far ahead of things. Aiden Hutchinson had a quote, I think it was yesterday after practice. They talked to him, I saw it in the paper this morning. I guess they didn't practice yesterday, but they talked to him about the playoffs and did the run at the end of last season. Did that kind of have the playoff feel to it, and is that what the same kind of thing you're getting now? And he's like, I don't know. Because he hasn't made the playoffs.
Right.
So he can't rely on that and say, oh, yeah, that kind of had the feel to it. He doesn't know. It was his rookie season. And I think that's a good thing that you don't know. And you'll know when it's there. The players, they'll talk about it and everything else.
You bring up two interesting points. One is you say you can't get too far ahead of yourself. I got too far ahead of myself asking about playoff matchups because it's pretty remarkable as we go down the stretch run here. There's almost 100% chance. I mean, unless it's the Rams, they virtually have played everybody they could match up with.
No, I agree with you. And I think
it's weird.
I think it's a great question to ask like 3 weeks from now.
Yeah, well, no, I mean,
I feel like you put that one in a bucket and you're like, I got to get this one out.
I will. But I mean, it's almost
it's a remarkable
locked
thing to look
up
at.
That unless the Lions get, I don't even know if they get to the number 1 seed, it will not be the case. We're in the 3 seed spot. And by a healthy margin, okay? Well, that's not true. Dallas is right there. Atlanta is the last division winner. I shouldn't say that. But we're in a 3 seed spot, okay? And the teams that the Lions could play, the pool of teams is 7 deep, and 6 of them they will have either already played or will have already played. Which maybe that's not unusual, but I keep going back to, and then that brings me to the second one of your points that you said with Aiden Hutchinson about, does this feel like, and he said, I don't know. I don't know how to act.
Right. Well, Ken keeps saying it. I agree. It's going back to Ricky Bobby. Yep. What do we do with our hands? We don't know. It's been so long since this team was a good team getting into the playoff round. It's not like last time Lions were in the playoffs when they played the Saints. Was it a good Lions team? Or was it just, hey, we got extra playoff teams and this is, a wild card team that's there?
So, great question. Yes, it was a good Lions team, but it didn't feel like this.
No.
Like I felt like, that was a Lions team that wasn't the best in their division. That was a Lions team where you were always hoping that somebody in the other team would get hurt. Not really, but kind of. That you were hoping that somebody in the other team would get hurt because on the field on a Sunday, the Lions couldn't line up and win games. Now it feels like the Lions can line up and win games, and they have lined up and won games against some quality opponents. And they've also had some stinkers mixed in here and there. But that's life in the NFL. And that's what I think we as a football community are struggling with dealing with is they looked collectively on all levels really bad on Thursday. And what we're accustomed to is panicking. We're not accustomed to that's the ups and downs of even good teams in the NFL. I don't think fans in Kansas City panic when they don't play well. And guess what their record is? 8-3.
Right.
And they are 2-4 in their last 4. The Lions are 2-2, in their last 4. The Lions are 3-1.
Right, but like you point out, that fan base has experienced the highest of the highs. They've won Super Bowls, and they know what they're doing, and they can relax when the Chiefs lose the opening game of the season to the Detroit Lions. their fans are it's whatever. We're fine. We were playing without two of our best players. We'll be all right during the season. Then they lose to the Denver Broncos. And we're fine. We're the Kansas City Chiefs. We know we're going to taper things off. We're going to take care of some injuries, and we'll be all right. In the end, they don't worry about it. They don't worry. If you're the Chiefs, you don't care if you're the wild card, if you're the division winner. You just know when playoff time comes, you're going to go. Of course, you'd rather be the division winner so you can host a playoff game.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm not sure I agree with that.
Well, you'd rather be it, but you'd probably feel pretty confident that in your team's abilities to win football games because you've been there and done that before. With the Lions, this is why it's different this year, because they're expected to win the division. We haven't had that expectation since the 90s that they're going to win the division. So this is a different feeling. You got to go back 30 years.
All right, so Lions fans, Thanksgiving's over. Time to digest. You watch a full weekend of football, college and pros. We've turned the corner here and kind of get into the Saints coming up on Sunday. You've heard, I don't know if everybody's listened to every minute of every show. God bless you if you have. You probably haven't. Dan Campbell on the morning show said, this is what we need to correct. There are very specific things, and we will, and we'll be fine. Jared Goff, you just heard him speak. Lions fans, do you believe that they can fix this and get right back to what they were? They're a 4-point favorite over Seattle, or New Orleans, excuse me. They've done a good job winning games like this, kind of leading right up until Thanksgiving. The previous losses have come against quality opponents. The Thanksgiving game came against the Packers. But do you believe that this team absolutely is going to be fine based upon time that has taken place since the Thanksgiving Day game and Dan Campbell, Jared Goff today? And we'll play a Campbell from this morning at some point. Not all of it, but just the good stuff. 248-539-9797. Kang, how do you feel? I'm not sure you feel great.
Well, no, I told you my check engine light was on.
Right.
That just means listen, maybe the air pressure is low on my tires. Simple fix, right? Or maybe I need a new engine. That's like that, you don't want that, okay? But the point is, obviously Dan Campbell is he sees things they have to correct. And that's what I see when I see the check engine light. I don't think this is a massive engine overhaul or anything like that, but I see things that you need to correct. And the fear is, of course, that I think you feel confident now because I think you're confident in Campbell and Brad Holmes. Mm-hmm. And the fact that, let's just be honest, there's no Aaron Rodgers in this division. You've talked about expecting to win the division. That's one of the reasons why. There's no Aaron Rodgers in this division. You should win this division. There's no Brett Favre in this division anymore. You have the best quarterback in the division, okay? So I think the fear, like I said, though, would be, did they overachieve? But I don't think so. I think they really are an 8-3 team. They're a good team. They're not an overachieving 8-3 team. They're an 8-3 team legit. So you correct these, correctable issues, and you move forward. And you win the division, and you host a playoff game. And you're probably going to play someone, like you said, Doug, that you've already played before. This is where we're at. I think we don't look further than that right now to keep our sanity. You know, right? Because if you start looking too far, you're like, well, we need this, we need that. No, let's take the steps.
Game by game.
Win the division, game by game, win the division, host the playoff. Yep.